Okay, let's go. Hi everyone. Warm welcome to all of you to our highly anticipated panel discussion on the HITRUST approach to unified compliance. My name is Venu Nambiar and I head the brand and marketing for CISA globally. It is my privilege to moderate this webinar with a diverse and distinguished panel here today. I would like to welcome Ms. Janani Balaji, Head Global Risk and Compliance Cybersecurity Practice at Excella Technologies and Reactor.ai. Welcome, Janani. We have Matthew Datel, Director Strategic Partnerships HITRUST Alliance, and my good friend and colleague Nitin Hedu, Director Strategic Risk and Compliance at CISA. I'm looking forward to this webinar as much as you are, but before that, let's quickly go over some housekeeping notes. This panel discussion will be for a duration of 45 minutes, including the Q&A session. So request all of you to type in your questions in the chat window and we shall take it up towards the end of this session. Before we get started, a quick introduction to CISA. So we are a forensics-driven cybersecurity solutions company for the digital payment industry. As a trusted cybersecurity partner for over 2,000 customers across 40 countries, we take a problem-first approach, leveraging our experience as a leading global payment card industry forensic investigator. Our portfolio of pure-play cybersecurity products and services help organizations secure their businesses with preventive, detective, and corrective cybersecurity solutions. And for those of you who may not be familiar with HITRUST, the HITRUST framework, popularly known as HITRUST CSF, has been adopted on a global scale for many reasons. For one, it is a universal framework that maps all critical control sets. It is one of the most comprehensive, flexible, and efficient approach to managing security risks of sensitive data and meeting regulatory compliance. You're going to hear more about HITRUST during this session. So in today's discussion, we are going to uncover how the HITRUST framework and CISA's forensics approach can transform the way organizations can manage security and compliance. Okay, so Matt, let me start with you. Tell us more about the HITRUST CSF and how it has evolved into this one powerful umbrella framework.
Absolutely. So good evening, everybody. With HITRUST, we have this popular slogan that we say, and it's assess once, report many. What that really means is HITRUST is designed to be one assessment to cover most, sometimes all, of an organization's compliance and reporting needs. It all starts with our CSF, which is the framework itself. With our framework, what we do is we look at what we call authoritative sources. These are different compliance regulations around the world, popular frameworks, things like GDPR, NIST controls, ISO controls, HIPAA compliance controls for the US healthcare market. We look at these different areas and we deduplicate these controls into our framework. So using one assessment, you have this streamlined process to implement practical controls using HITRUST language that's vetted and determined to help make it an efficient journey for a customer going through this process. So at the end of the day, you have practical controls and an ability to implement these controls to meet your compliance regulations and needs as an organization.
Awesome. So I like that. Assess once, report many. Basically, easy, practical, and implementable controls for assessment, right? So thanks for that overview. Yeah, thank you. So, Janani, being a practitioner, can you please share with us your experience with HITRUST framework to meet your organization's PCI, SOC, and many other standards that you have? Janani, if you're talking, are you on mute? Yes, you're on mute.
Hi, Venu. Hi, all. Talking about the unified framework that HITRUST CSF offers. So we have over different 50 different compliance requirements, and HITRUST definitely integrates all these into a single framework. And being a service provider, this means our organization can align with multiple regulatory and industry standards such as the HIPAA, ISO 27001, the NIST, and the PCI DSS into a single set of controls and assessment procedures. So this gives us a comprehensive coverage, and also I would say that for a service industry like us, where we have to deal with multiple such requirements, it definitely gives us a simplified compliance process, right? And it helps us to adhere with all these requirements, and also streamline our audit and assessment process. So when we comply with the HITRUST CSF, it definitely gives us the leverage where we reduce the time and effort it requires to implement these controls across different frameworks. So we have also the flexibility and adaptability that we will be talking about in the upcoming questions, where for an organization that has different requirements, is dealing with various industries, and has various organizational needs, we have the flexibility and adaptability in this one framework, the power of one framework of HITRUST CSF.
Got it. Thanks, Janani. So, what I hear is a structured set of controls for a simplified certification process that avoids duplication of effort, right? So that's the power of one
Yes.
framework that you mentioned. Okay, great. So Nitin, over to you. As an assessor, I know you've been working on HITRUST for quite some time now, but as an assessor, how do you see this framework tie in with CISA's brand promise of true security and risk-based unified approach to compliance?
Hi, Venu. Good evening, all. Certainly, to continue with Matt and Janani, what just bring it to a table. HITRUST is a common security framework that helps organization to manage security, privacy, and risk. And this trio brings the harmonized common control framework across multiple standards, ISO, NIST, and the regulation likes of GDPR and HIPAA. Uh, Additionally, HITRUST help to streamline the security and the compliance with a unified approach, okay, which is actionable framework, which is quite comprehensive to meet the regulatory as well as the standard across, which integrate multiple standards which Matt has talked about as the authoritative sources. That brings the credit to the organization with regards to the security, with regards to the trust with their partners, and with that common security framework, when we referred, okay, it is a risk based, not only focusing only on that risk, but some of the set of controls are tailored with the organization specific requirement, which is irrespective of the industry. uh, you know High trust is applicable only for pharmaceutical industry is a myth nowadays. It is agnostic across the industries now. It is applicable to all sizes with regards to any portfolio. Probably in the further discussion, we can talk about the variety of, the assessment that we look after across the size of the organization as well. It is scalable, as rightly said by Janani. It is quite adoptable as well. Likes of multiple industries that are going for high trust, not only pharmaceutical, as I just mentioned. Basis on that, it brings the flexibility for us. We can choose, starting with the baseline set of controls as the fundamental controls, to more advanced basis on our risk posture, basis on our take, okay, with regards to the organization objective. Finally, it is very important that high trust is following, which is very quite close to my heart, is that it is a emphasis on continuous monitoring and improvement. Likes of ISO, when we look after ISO, they took on an average 5 years to update their standard. But high trust is quite adaptable to the industry specific requirement, regulatory specific requirement, and that brings a proactive approach proactive approach for an organization to be ahead in terms of the emerging threats and the regulatory changes. And that's bring the robust security posture in an organization. And this is what is the true security means to us. And this is what is one of the brand prompts that CISA is offering. Finally, when I say the true security, first of all, it is a concept that refers to the holistic and the comprehensive approach to safeguarding the asset, system, and the information from the threats that ensure the security measures which are available with regards to the effectiveness and the sustainability. Venu.
Right, right. So, security, privacy, and risk, the three controls that the high trust framework delivers consistently, right? And
Absolutely.
just to top it, so being a global standard and from an authoritative source, this lends a lot of trust and reputation to organizations who implement this framework, right? So it's good to have this
Absolutely.
for great, great. Thanks, Nitin, for that. Matt, can you elaborate a little bit more on the risk-based framework that you touched upon earlier? I know there are a lot of stages in that the framework which provides the flexible, efficient method to manage risk at various levels. Can you just delve into that?
Absolutely. Yeah. So at High Trust, with our framework and our approach, we have three different assessment types. We have an E1, an I1, and an R2 assessment as the three different options, three different starting points. And the nice thing about them is they overlap. So if you start with an E1, you can move towards an I1 and then eventually end with an R2. All the controls in your E1 will be in the I1 assessment. All the controls in your I1 assessment will be in the R2 assessment. So you can do this over multiple years. So you're not trying to go for the biggest assessment in the first year. So that's important to understand. Any implemented system can be assessed using the HITRUST framework. And we really do specialize in any higher risk data systems, but it can be anything. So it's very industry agnostic. It's not just healthcare. That's been a common misconception that it's only healthcare in the past, but we'll talk about that a little bit in the later slides. But with HITRUST, what we really focus on is how the controls are implemented. That's the key critical factor for all of our assessments, the implementation of the controls. It's not just is the control designed appropriately and is there a good policy, but is the control being tested and working efficiently? And how is that being measured and managed over time to ensure if anything goes wrong, there's a quick process to catch it and to fix it. So we have different scoring methodologies that we implement to ensure only certified environments or only the environments that get certified truly are secure. That's a big part of what we do at HITRUST. And to make sure the controls are practical in each of our three different assessments, because 44, 182, and 375, these are big differences between the three. What we have is something we call threat intelligence. We partner with organizations around the globe, a lot of cloud service providers like your Microsofts and your AWSs, and we are getting information on where are common threats and attacks occurring. And we use that to design these three different assessment types, especially the E1 and I1, which have static control sets, to focus on the critical areas of the business. Where do we need to have the strongest controls? Which controls are needed to prevent attacks from happening? And this allows us to have a very strong stepping stone approach for organizations to focus on critical factors for their business.
I love that. I love that stepping stone approach from a E1 to the I1 to the R2. Great. So basically, no organization has to rush into this, right? They can rather go about the journey in a more efficient manner. Is that right, Matt? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Great.
Yeah. What we found is in the past there was this common misconception that HITRUST was like a Mount Everest of security and compliance, and it scares people away. And honestly, I used to do HITRUST assessments before I joined the company, and I've been here for about 7 years, and that was a common concern we had as a business: is how do we appeal to some of the organizations that can't go straight to an R2 assessment? So we designed the E1 and I1 as an option for organizations. Sometimes that will be the only assessment they want, and they'll just do E1s and I1s continuously, year to year. Other organizations are now using E1 as a starting point, and they're going to go through a progressive journey year over year to go for the I1 later and then the R2 eventually in the future. So they can ramp up their controls as a business and not go straight for the largest assessment type. So there's different approaches that we see. Some organizations will start with the R2 if they feel they can scope and scale that to their business efficiently. There's different approaches, and that's the beauty of having an assessor. They can really help you carve out that journey and be practical with the best approach for the business.
Absolutely, man. That makes sense. So Nitin, how do you coming back again on this question? How do you see the the high trust risk based framework complement with CISA's brand promise now? You know?
Certainly. So, when you in information security, one solution does not fit all. That concept is already there. And when we look after high trust CSF, okay, it is flexible, scalable, and adaptable across the industry that we just come across.
Hmm.
Uh, I can have any industries to go for that, starting from the small, medium to large across even I1 and R2 assessment. And CISA is quite instrumental to provide these readiness assessment and the validated assessment support, okay, for even I1 and R2, with the uniqueness that is a powered, okay, I can say so. The assessment is powered with the forensic cybersecurity thought process. I will give you the snapshot about what exactly the forensic cybersecurity thought process that CISA is adopted to. That is one point. Second one is HITRUST CSF include multiple level of control implementation. Math just briefed about in the policy procedure and implemented, which is a default at a three level. However, the organization basis on their risk portfolio, they can choose for managed and measured. So CISA is quite instrumental to provide the implementation support end to end. Certainly, we have the expertise and skilled resources on ground to take care of that. Finally, I would say high trust is not just a tick in box exercise, to be very honest. It's a thorough assurance model in itself. When we come across the assurance model per se, high trust is having the rubrics, which is something unique which I come across. I have not exposed, to other framework who is having this kind of uniqueness. So high trust rubrics is something which gives the sampling methodology, which gives what kind of population that we need to get into, and there is a unique factor which is called as the percentage for the control to achieve and 19 domains across high trust. So that entire combination brings the uniqueness in itself. Finally, when we look after high trust, it provides the true security in terms of security, privacy, and the risk. That gives the combination of trust, and it brings the value to the organization, not in terms of just the compliance requirement, but truly improving the security posture. And
Hmm.
that gives a CISA another brand promise as a business value, okay, across the organization.
Awesome. Thanks, Nitin. So it's not a tick in the box. It's basically high trust assurance that you're giving in your organization, right?
Absolutely.
Anyways, yeah. Janani, would you like to share your views on the same?
Absolutely, Venu. So, this particular flexibility that we have from High Trust is something that we have benefited as an organization. So, we as a service provider for major healthcare players, with this flexible implementation, the customization, and the scalable approach that we have with High Trust is something that is unique. And also, we have our own unique risk landscape and resources and regulatory obligations. So this customization definitely helps us to ensure that we implement the CSF controls as per our requirements, and we can customize the different certification options that we have with HITRUST. And the scalable approach is also making it suitable for our organization for the varying size and complexity that we have with different service offerings that we have as an organization. And the other important aspect when it comes to the risk management is the prioritization and the risk based approach that we have. So the high trust framework definitely helps us to assess and prioritize the risk according to the potential impact that we have that it has on our business operations and security. So yes, that's my take on how high trust helps us with the various options that they offer.
Awesome. So scalability and flexibility, right? Basically to tailor assessments to your needs and practices, right? So great. So before we get into the next topic of discussion, there's a poll coming up. Request all of you to participate. It won't take more than a few seconds. With Yeah, it's there on your screen. Benshi, there's something wrong with the slide. I can't see the slide. Okay, great. Thank you so much. Thanks for participating in the poll. Moving on, um, let's look at the real world implementation, right? Um, so, Matt, help us understand firsthand on some of the successful implementations where organizations have hugely benefit from high trust CSF.
Yeah, I mean, the nice thing is if you just go on LinkedIn these days and you type in HITRUST certification, you'll see customer after customer telling their story about how they've implemented this framework and they've achieved the certification in their environment. And what HITRUST has done to help provide some more visibility where we can, because for privacy concerns, we just can't put a list out of everyone that has a HITRUST certification, but we do have is something called our trust report. This is something new that we put out in the spring of this year, and we'll be doing this every year going forward as the plan. And this shows statistics on which industries are achieving HITRUST certifications. And the nice thing about the report is you'll see that it's not just healthcare anymore. That's been a common understanding of HITRUST as we're ingrained in healthcare. And believe me, we are not abandoning healthcare by any means. It's still a major part of what our business does. But what we're seeing is organizations across all industries are adopting the framework. And with the certification itself, the true benefit is with the breach prevention. So there's a good statistic here on the screen, and you'll see it says 99.4% of organizations did not report a security breach over the last 2 years when they held a HITRUST certification.
Wow.
So there is no such thing as absolute assurance in this industry. I don't think there ever will be. That's just not something you can do. But 99.4% success rate. So for every 1,000 customers that went through a HITRUST journey, only 6 of them experienced a breach. And that is very, very strong. That is tremendous. And a way we're able to make sure our certifications are working is through that threat intelligence I mentioned a little earlier. We really do look at not just compliance standards and regulations, but where can we prevent an attack from occurring? Or how can we reduce any damage that's being done if an attack is attempted on an organization's sensitive environment? And through our roots in healthcare, when you think about the risk through healthcare where you're protecting human lives and that data needs to be available and it can't be compromised, can't be deleted, that is allowing us to understand if we can protect the hospital's data, if we can protect patient data, we can take this process of data protection and spread this across different industries. And the nice thing with our framework is, and then there's also kind of bodes well with one of the questions that came in terms of how does it work with different businesses, different sizes. The R2 specifically, that report is customizable for an organization. So that one, the control set, you'll notice earlier it said approximately 375 because it's not a one-size-fits-all approach with the R2. So with that one specifically, different organizations, different industries, they'll answer factors when they're creating their assessment using the HITRUST technology, using the help of the assessor. They press enter, it generates a control set. It could be 250 controls, it could be 375, it could be even more, depending on the factors and the things you choose to pull in as a business. But this will get you practical controls for your business needs, for your risks, and allow you to really improve your security, which at the end of the day, that's the point. That's why we do what we do, is to increase trust. That's right in our name.
Super. I must add that these statistics are really impressive. 99.4% did not report a security breach in 22-23. So does that mean that it's just 0.3% year on year? How do you read these stats?
And sure. I would say it's 0.6 each year is what we're seeing, but it's for every 1,000 organizations that go through, and we have thousands that go through the HITRUST assessments. Only 6 of them each time are having a breach being reported, and that's a part of the process. It's not just we're not just making a blind claim here. There is a renewal process with HITRUST where you do have to report on the breaches as part of the validation. So we have the data year to year that we've been tracking, and we'll continue to track. And this lets us know, okay, where the breaches did happen, we can use that for threat intelligence for future assessments to help prevent even further for the benefit of other customers as well.
Got you. Thank you, Matt, for clarifying that. Nitin, would you like to share your experiences from the implementations done so far successfully?
For sure, Venu. First of all, CISA is having a systematic and the customized. So when I said customized, it is purely tailored to the industry and client specific requirement approach,
Hmm.
and powered with the forensic cybersecurity thought process, which is CISA's DNA to be precise, for HITRUST certification. Recently, CISA has successfully implemented the HITRUST R2 certification for one of the leading global financial institution.
Mhm.
Uh, they were in a need for various standards and the regulations compliances, starting with PCI DSS 4.0, ISO 27001, SOC 2, and the GDPR across their multiple countries to be precise. Now, how CISA has come forward and solved is first and foremost. CISA has thoroughly understand what is the exact scope and the requirement. We have had a couple of discussion with the senior leadership to understand the objective and the timeline with regards to the high trust, first of all, and we had high trust awareness for their key executives. Second piece was we assisted them to procure the high trust subscription.
Hmm.
See, high trust is something which is a one-stop shop for the organization, because high trust is providing MyCSF, which is the proprietary tool of high trust to go through for the certification that needs to be procured. So that has been done, and the major factor over here is a scoping. In high trust assessment, scoping is a major factor, and just to let you know, high trust is not an organization level certification, but it is applicable for implemented system in that organization. So the scoping has been done in accordance to the business requirement, business forms that they are into. Then we have set up the detailed project plan. Okay, we have done the evidences collection mechanism. So that evidences collection mechanism that we have done is with the help of our home tool. Okay, it's a proprietary product of CISA, which is called as the CISA Assistant, and thereafter we are having the project management team with the roles and responsibility. After that, we have conducted the comprehensive R2 assessment, across policy, procedure, and implemented per se, which is a level three. With that, we have come to know that couple of gaps has been there, for which CISA was instrumental to provide the remediation support. Now, in this entire journey, when we identified the gap, we have keep in mind. The methodology, okay, that rubrics methodology, which I just briefed about in the previous
Yep.
discussion, that has been thoroughly followed, because that's the only way that we are going to score the minimum requirement, and that is the way that we are going to get ourselves accepted for the certification. Remediation plan has been put in place, which were actionable. We have provided the implementation support. To be very honest, some of the challenges that we witness are not only to give them the policy and the procedure specific assistance, but what come to evidences they need to provide. Okay, because high trust is all about sharing the evidences, and that's
Right.
bring the confidence for the high trust to get it certified. So evidences collection, how to maintain that, okay, over a period of time, that was another critical factor. Equally, once we come to know that it has been, well evaluated, managed in our CISA assistant per se, finally that assessment object has been submitted. Now, before I come to the submission, there is a the methodology or process that is called as a reservation in high trust that has been set up. So reservation is something that we need to procure high trust time, okay, for our report which we have submitted, okay, for certification per se. So that reservation has been done as on when we started understanding their scope. Finally, the QA has been done by HITRUST, which is a fundamental part of R2 assessment, which is a uniqueness again. And once it has been done, couple of round of discussion with the HITRUST team with regards to the task that has been populated in the MyCSF, which is called the discussion point, has been addressed, and HITRUST certificate has been awarded. As a value addition from CISA's standpoint, along with the HITRUST certification, we have done the forensic readiness assessment. This is something, I would say the game changer over here. What Matt has presented, 99.4, okay, brings the proud for any company to get into. That gives some assurance, yes, I will not have any security breach, and continuous monitoring was in place. Some customer come back and have a, the typical thought process about the security breach reported. Okay, that kind of concept that just Matt has provided that fact. So for that, we come across some value addition. We being a pioneer in the forensic driven cyber security in the payment industry, it is a strategic evaluation. So that forensic readiness is a strategic evaluation that actually prepare organization to efficiently handle and manage the digital evidences in the event of any cyber security incidents. So that was the factor that has been brought for the customer. Equally, over a period of second year, R2 being 2 year cycle, we have provided the plan for the second year interim assessment.
Got it.
After this, what is the outcome for the organization is the first of all, organization benefited from the streamlined compliances process, which is a major for them. Reduce their redundancies. Now, when I said reduce their redundancies, after the SOC 2 execution, they realize what kind of preparedness that we have given them in terms of the readiness. So that kind of benefit that they have gone through, and certainly PCI DSS 4.0 is something that we are into. So that has been a smooth journey for them to go through. Finally, this integration, okay, enhance their ability to manage the risk, which is a major factor, and improve the security posture. Venu.
Awesome, great. So, scoping. You mentioned scoping is critical and should
Absolutely.
be done in accordance with the organization's business and context. That's important. And then collection
Yes.
of evidence is another very important aspect, right?
Yes. Yes.
So, Janani, as a practitioner again, cybersecurity practice leader, one who has seen the space evolve over the past 15 odd years, why do you think organizations like Nitin just mentioned, we did something for companies in the digital payment industry. Why do you think organizations beyond healthcare are now adopting high trust, especially in the BFSI and IT/ITS segments? What are your views on that?
So, Venu, I concur with everything that Matt and Nitin just mentioned, and the comprehensive coverage that we have with High Trust, it definitely benefits other industries as well. And as a GRC practitioner, no one can be as happy as I would be. When High Trust sets foot in other industries as well, and we have more acceptance of High Trust as a certification, because as a service provider, we go through multiple certifications every year, and we go through SOC and PCI, and like Nathan mentioned, going through the High Trust journey definitely makes our journey smooth with the other certifications. But if we come to a point where the wider industries accept High Trust certification alone, then I'm sure we will have a one-stop solution for all our certification needs. And at the same time, HITRUST definitely acts as a benchmark, and also it acts as a differentiator for us to get the client assurance. So, as of now, we have a lot of our healthcare clients and players asking for the HITRUST certification. But the trend I see is that very soon we have other industries as well looking for a HITRUST certification, and that would satisfy our needs in terms of providing the trust and assurance that our clients expect from us, and that would definitely act as a market differentiator for us. So I will be very happy when our clients start asking only for HITRUST certification, and we don't have to go through the length and breadth of other certification expectations that we currently have. So, yes.
Right, absolutely. Thank you. Thanks, Janani. Matt, would you like to share your perspective on how you see high trust being moving outside beyond healthcare?
Absolutely. So this is a similar statistic from our trust report, and a question earlier around what's the source. So this is from a high trust report that we put out on our website. It's called the Trust Report, and it has statistics from over the last couple of years. And this one from 2023 shows the breakdown of all of the different organizations that achieved a high trust certification in 2023. And it's not 50%, it's not 90% healthcare, it's 18% healthcare. So huge part of what we do, but really the most popular area is information technology. It's the companies that are storing data for all types of businesses and business services. So similarly, working across multiple industries. And as you look at the other, gray areas, you'll see there are highly regulated industries tend to lean towards HITRUST the most. That's pretty common because they introduce more risk and there's more compliance things to monitor in those highly regulated industries. So having a streamlined approach truly does benefit them. A big part of with HITRUST we've been talking about is the certifications. That's the goal for most companies. Is if you're going to go down this path, you're going to implement this framework, you should go for the certifications. That's really where you can market your business. You can differentiate and say we have very strong security as an organization. We protect our customers, and if you operate with us, your data is protected in our hands. That's a good way that organizations are using that certification, not just to protect themselves, but also protect their customers and the people that they work
with. Great. So, these numbers are quite a revelation, right? HITRUST started off in the healthcare industry, and then it's now seems to be pivoting towards other industries as well. Nitin?
Our name, HITRUST, it used to mean Health Information Trust back in the day. Like it was only healthcare, and now it's evolved so much. It's been amazing to see, and it's something we'll continue to do is serve the highly regulated industries, and that can benefit all. If we can protect high risk data, we can protect just about anything.
Absolutely. Thank you, Matt. Nitin, you did mention about one of the during your earlier this one you were talking about a digital payment customer that you had assessed, right? So are you also seeing a similar traction? Are there more people asking for this from the digital payment industry?
Absolutely, Venu. Just to give you some statistic, I was just going through a couple of I would say surveys and the white papers, and interesting fact that I noticed, European Banking Authority, called as the EBA, revealed that payment fraud in European Union or European Economic Area, which is a combination of 30 odd countries, witnessed 4.3 billion euros of frauds in 2022. And they have listed out it is constantly increasing. So that's about Europe. Now coming back to our home region, that is the APAC. As we witnessed in last couple of years, APAC region has grown up in the digital payment, to be precise, enormously because of the advancement that has been witnessed. Likes of digital wallets, payment app, as well as some services likes of buy now pay later. Preferably called as a BNPL. So as per that survey, they are witnessing approximately 26% of frauds are coming up from this digital wallet and the payment app. And finally, one survey was quite instrumental to think, and it was quite significant also to mention out here. The merchants are expected to face online fraud from regards to approximately 362 billion US dollar in between 2023 to 2028. Now that gives me a thought when we are having, in the ecosystems of the digital payment or, moving across these financial institutions, what they need to be put in place. I got a simple answer. Strong security and the privacy measures. And that's bring our full attention on this digital payment ecosystem industry. And we being into this, certainly we are witnessing good demand about HITRUST certification in the financial sector. To give you some background about that, we are having a banking industry customer to look into this HITRUST with the obvious requirement, the customer information, which is PII information is there. Then our financial transactions are there. That all required a protection. And I don't foresee, other than HITRUST can provide that kind of, confidence and trust for the banks. Equally, payment processor, which is very close to our heart. In the banking industry, to be precise, they are also looking after this with the fact that they are hosting, the customer information in their ecosystem, credit card, debit card, all this card specific information is out there. So how to secure that brings another, challenge for them. So payment processor is there. And finally, insurance company, which are ideally collaborating with the pharmaceutical giant as well as hospital. They are looking after this HITRUST at major per se, reason being they are having a EPHI data. patient data to be precise, and the claim data coupled with the financial data. So the
Okay.
combination of these brings them to think about how they are going to, you know, manage the data across their ecosystem and what kind of security measures that needs to put in place. So certainly, Venu, we being into this, digital payment industry, banking sector, insurance, and payment process are quite, front runner for HITRUST certification.
Understandable. And I think that space is just going to get, just grow more and more. Those are
Absolutely.
staggering statistics that you had called out. Anyway, so good. Thanks for that, Nitin. The next is actionable steps. So I can see a few questions in the chat window from our participants. But before we dive into that, one last round, let me just go around the table and request our expert panelists to share one or two key practices for organizations embarking on the high trust journey. Nitin, as an assessor, what would be your advice to organizations?
Uh, Considering the time, okay, I can pick up, top three. First thing first, engage a qualified high trust assessor, as early as possible, considering the fact
Mm.
they will give us the expert guidance, which will helpful for risk reduction as well as meeting the compliances, and finally, a smoother path for the high trust certification. Second one is, which is very close to me, that is train and educate the employee. At the end, company runs because of their talent, about the execution. They need to be aware about the fact what high trust is, and I believe once they are get educated, they will actually foster the compliance culture in the organization. That will reduce risk of non-compliance and certainly improve the readiness for the audit as well. Finally, which is the core for high trust, which is a evidence management. So seamless evidences management. CISA, assistant is something which is a tool that we are using for that piece, which is a pragmatic way to put forward what kind of project we are into and how soon we are going to get it completed, so that digital the status to come in for the better project management is something I can look after. So net engaging the qualified high trust assessor as early as possible, train and educate the employee, and seamless evidences management, Venu.
Right. Simple and straightforward. Educate the customer and the marketplace. Awesome. Thanks, Nitin. Matt?
I'll start with a similar message, and I'm biased because I used to be an assessor, but the assessor is the place to start. You need to partner early in these
Right.
discussions because they are trained. It is a process to become an assessor. There's a lot of training that goes
Yes.
through that. We don't just accept everyone blindly. We really do make sure we bring in strong firms into our assessor
Right.
program. So starting early with an assessor firm to help you with what assessment should I go for as an organization, and which systems should I have assessed? Is it just one? Should I look at multiple different systems? Where are my high risk areas of the business? That's what an assessor can really help you with. And the biggest step they'll help you with is the readiness work. Because with high trust, every single assessment gets submitted to high trust for review. So assessors have an exclusive ability to submit those results to high trust for our team to perform our quality check. And then we issue out those certifications to customers as long as we agree to the scores and the scores are high enough, that customer gets their certification. But you cannot start remediating controls mid-assessment. You can't submit to high trust and then fix things after the fact. You want to do that readiness work up front so that all of your controls are up to par with what high trust would require for certification, so that you can get that certification at the end of the day, and then you can truly improve your security as a business and use that as a marketing differentiator if you need to help your business demonstrate, to customers that you value security and data protection. So starting with an assessor early, highest
Yeah.
recommendation I can make, and really focusing on that readiness phase as a business, finding which controls need the remediation and getting those changes made ASAP is really the best way to do it.
Super. Thanks, Matt. Last but not the least, Janani, your perspectives, please, or your actionable steps.
Thanks, Venu. So I think the most important first step for an organization being consumer of high trust is to familiarize ourselves with the high trust CSF, the Common Security Framework, because
Mm.
it has 19 domains and a lot of associated controls. So to hold an effective conversation with our qualified assessor and also with high trust, we first have to familiarize ourselves with what high trust has to offer, and we also have to access and review their documentation so that we understand end to end what we have in store for us. And like rightly said by Nitin and Matt, we have to engage with a qualified assessor and as early as possible as well, because usually one of the mistakes that organizations do is
Mm.
reaching out to an assessor and to high trust at the last minute, where we have very tight timelines to have the certification delivered. And as soon as we get to know that we have to go through this journey, we have to identify and engage an assessor and start holding those conversations and getting prepared. And parallelly, we also have to go through the gap analysis within the organization, so we understand what we have to prioritize and where we have to implement our controls, right? And high trust definitely has a lot of resources, so we have to start leveraging the high trust resources. They have a lot of training materials, webinars, and support services. So and high trust is also very approachable from speaking from my experience. So it's as early as possible we have to start working on these steps so that we have a smooth journey, and also we are very clear in what we want to deliver, because
Right.
as we spoke earlier, high trust has a very customizable
Mm.
framework. So if we have our priorities clear, if we know what our requirements are and
Yep.
familiarize ourselves, then it makes the life of everybody involved easy, and also makes our journey smooth, and we have a complete and accurate certification process.
Well said. Well said,
Thank you.
Janani. So, yeah, we are up on a time here, but we just take one question from the lot that we have received, and that's from Rishabh, and he asks, "How do I convince my senior leadership to take up the high trust assessment?" Who wants to go for that? Janani, Matt.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. So one of the most important, so I can speak from a service provider perspective. The most important for any leadership is to get the client trust and
Yeah.
being a market differentiator, right? So that's something that we can definitely take up with our leadership to convince them to go through the high trust certification. And also going through the high trust certification helps us to implement the controls and make the other certification process easier.
Mm.
And it definitely increases or improves our security posture as well when we do the complete gap analysis, do the risk identification and assessment, and also fix our gaps. So that's something that would be of interest to our to any leadership per se, and yeah, the market differentiator being
Right.
the big thing. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Thanks, Janani.
and to add to that, I would say the three key pillars of the benefits any high trust customer goes through are the security benefits you'll have as an organization. You will better protect your data and reduce risk of breach. The compliance benefits, you will reduce your audit fatigue as an organization because you can deduplicate control testing into one approach. And then lastly is that differentiation she mentioned. It's you can use this as a marketing tool. You can use this to say you protect data, and it's something that maybe not all of your peers or competitors are doing. It's something that's unique to you as an organization that shows you have best in practice security.
Super. Yeah. Great. Nitin, anything from your side? Otherwise, we can wrap up.
Certainly, what Janani and Matt just mentioned. One quick point I can think about is demonstrate senior leadership about the regulatory and the legal obligations in their business that they need to follow, and certainly showcase the risk and the financial impact that I can look after, okay, to get their management buy-in.
Super. Well said. Yeah, I think that's very important. Great. So, thank you, insights and guidance. I'm sure all of us, including the listeners, benefited. I know we were up on our time, but these are all very important aspects for anyone who's planning to get on the high trust journey, right? Well said. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for all the participants for attending this webinar. We will take up the questions, the remaining questions. We will mail them to you with our responses. Meanwhile, if you have any questions, any queries, or any other clarifications that you would require regarding the high trust assessment, please reach out to us at marketing@csainfosec.com. Thank you, and all of you have a good evening. See you then. Bye.
Thank you. Good evening. Bye.